The Galactic Senate spire loomed above Vexor Prime like a blade suspended in orbit, sleek, cold, and indifferent to the billions who lived by its rulings. Inside, beneath towering arches of silver stone, the chamber had fallen into a hush. 312 species, each wrapped in ceremonial colors, watched the center platform where High Chancellor Vorkul stood with an expression carved from granite. A thin veil of amber light shimmered over the spherical display at his side. Resolution 88X, he declared. His voice was dry, every syllable delivered with surgical precision. To preserve galactic stability, the Terran species shall be reclassified as labor class assets and transferred into Concord oversight. A hum rippled through the chamber, agreement, unease, calculation. No one openly objected. No one dared. Vorkul raised a clawed hand. You may cast your vote. The voting lattice unfolded, each podium receiving its interface. Across the room, appendages pressed glyphs, tendrils brushed screens, claws tapped symbols. One by one, lights blinked yes. Entire clusters of species submitted their agreement without hesitation. The Terranth, Vorkul's own people, were first. The insectoid Kresh voted next. The crystalline Hazhari, the winged Corvin, the slow-voiced Malari, all followed. Every one. Without exception. And still, silence remained. The final glyph pulsed. Vorkul nodded with steepled fingers. Unanimous. The motion passes. A soft chime sealed the decision. Somewhere, servers etched this moment into the Senate archives, a cold record of a choice meant to reshape a planet's fate. But not all secrets stayed buried. Light years away, the encrypted packet pierced the Terran fleet defense net and emerged above the flagship TNS Bastion. It flashed across secure channels until it reached Admiral Mara Ellison's desk. She had just ended a brief with defense ministers when the alert blinked. Unknown priority transmission, her aide reported. Origin: Concord internal node. Encryption is unusual. Mara dismissed the room and opened the file. The hologram unfolded, projecting the Senate's chamber with ruthless clarity. The resolution text hovered like a sentence awaiting execution. Then the votes appeared. First 10, then 30, then 100. Her jaw tightened as each species confirmed. After the final tally, the word unanimous glowed in bright red. Mara let it play again, scanning every movement. Nothing blurred or fabricated. Every delegate had chosen enslavement openly, almost casually. Even the species humanity aided during plagues, wars, or political collapses. Even those Earth had sheltered. Her breath steadied into something sharp. A second file unlocked itself, a message from the anonymous sender. Admiral, they intend to enforce the resolution within 72 hours. They think Terrans will not resist. I am risking my life to warn you. Prepare your world. The rest dissolved into static. Mara closed the feed and leaned back, letting the weight settle. The betrayal wasn't surprising, not entirely. Humanity's advancements had grown fast, faster than the old empires expected. Still, a vote like this struck deeper than strategy. It carried contempt, fear, and the intention to erase her people's autonomy with a signature. Her aide returned when summoned. Admiral, muster the Security Council, she ordered. Priority 1. Secure lines only. Yes, ma'am. As footsteps faded down the corridor, Mara allowed herself a single moment to process the reality. 312 civilizations had decided humanity belonged in chains. They thought Earth would break. They thought fear would fracture the species before a single Concord vessel arrived. They did not understand humans. The emergency meeting formed within minutes. Screens flickered to life, projecting representatives from Earth, Luna, Titan, and the orbital cities. No one spoke at first. Everyone waited for Mara. She uploaded the recording. No introduction. No warning. The vote played from beginning to end. Silence followed, heavy, stunned, electric. Prime Minister Durrell finally broke it. This is an act of collective hostility. They intend to enslave every human being. Under Concord law, Mara replied. The vote gives them full authority to seize our fleets, dismantle Earth's defenses, and transport our population off-world. Director Halim exhaled. They'll expect compliance. They think we lack the means or the will to oppose them. Mara looked at each leader in turn. Do we? Halim straightened. No. Absolutely not. Darrell's voice hardened. Then we defend ourselves. Not only defend, Mara said. We respond. No one questioned her. Humanity had argued internally about many things over the years. Economics, politics, science, culture, but they agreed on one truth. Survival was non-negotiable. A notification buzzed across the strategic board. Mara tapped it. A Concord seal filled the space, accompanied by a short directive. Terran autonomy revoked. Prepare biological assets for transport. Compliance required within 72 hours. Assets, Darrell muttered. They already speak as if we've surrendered. They assume we will. Mara lifted her eyes. We won't. The ministers leaned forward. What are you proposing? Halim asked. Mara hesitated only long enough to consider what came next. Her voice emerged steady. We activate Project Backline. Shock flashed across several faces. Only a handful had clearance to even discuss the name. Darrell spoke with a low breath. It was never supposed to be used. That decision was taken from us the moment they voted, Mara said. Backline exists for one reason, to guarantee humanity's survival if the Concord ever turned on us. And if activating it escalates a war? Then we enter it prepared. Silence returned, this time with grim acceptance. The vote had already chosen their path. Mara ended the meeting. She remained seated for a moment, hands clasped, gaze steady on the faint reflection of her own eyes in the darkened screen. A resolution passed in a distant hall should not have the power to decide the fate of an entire species, but the galaxy had expected obedience, not resolve. Not humanity. She replayed the Chancellor's final words. Unanimous. The motion passes. Her lips thinned into a line. Not for long, she murmured. As the bastion drifted across Earth's orbit, the blue sphere rotated beneath it, calm, vulnerable, unaware of the storm approaching. Lights glimmered across continent. Ships moved along orbital highways. Billions lived their lives without knowing 100 empires had just voted to shackle them. Mara stood before the viewport, hands folded behind her back. Her aide approached quietly. Shall I prepare your global address? Yes. The world needs clarity. Should we release the vote? Not yet, she said. Panic serves the Concord, not us. The aide nodded and left. Mara stayed a moment longer, studying the world she had sworn to protect. She felt no fear, only a steady flame building in her chest, controlled, deliberate, unstoppable. They believe we'll kneel, she whispered to the stars. They truly don't know us at all. Above Earth, the Admiral turned away from the viewport. Tomorrow, the galaxy would learn the cost of its decision, and humanity would show it had never been prey. The message to the world began the moment Admiral Mara Ellison stepped into the broadcast chamber. No theatrics, no banners, just a quiet room with a single podium and a screen carrying her face to every city, colony, and orbital station. She inhaled once, steady and controlled. People of Earth, she began, the Galactic Concord has revoked our autonomy. A retrieval fleet is on its way to enforce that ruling. You deserve the truth. They expect us to surrender. Across the planet, the transmission interrupted news feeds, entertainment streams, and educational channels. Billions paused, workers, students, parents, soldiers, drawn by the severity in Mara's tone. We will not submit, she continued. Earth stands united. Our response will be decisive and measured. She ended the broadcast there. No dramatic music. No patriotic flourish. The clarity alone was enough to ignite the reaction she expected. The world didn't erupt into fear. It hardened. Networks lit up with citizens demanding instructions, volunteers offering assistance, and leaders calling emergency sessions. Humanity's instinctive defiance surfaced like a tide. Mara stepped away from the podium just as her aide entered. "The Defense Council is ready, ma'am." "Good. Let's proceed." The war room on the TNS Bastion hummed with focused energy. Holographic displays shifted as officers synchronized the fleet grid. The retrieved Concord message hovered above the table, cold, arrogant, dismissive. Director Halim adjusted his sleeve. "The retrieval fleet will reach the outer perimeter in 14 hours. "We'll be ready," Mara said. Prime Minister Durrell leaned forward. "We need to discuss backline. If we activate it, the Concord will realize they never understood our capability." "They placed us in a corner," Mara replied. "We either show strength now or live under permanent threat." The room fell quiet. Everyone knew Project Backline had been buried beneath layers of secrecy for decades. It was humanity's contingency against an event like this, a hostile concord, a betrayal, a forced subjugation. "Authorize it," Durrell said. Mara issued the command. Deep in uncharted space, hidden behind gravitational distortions and false telemetry fields, dormant engines flickered awake. Entire fleets, sleek, angular, silent, rose from their concealed docks. Hundreds of vessels synchronized their systems like an orchestra taking its first breath. At the heart of them all, an intelligence stirred. Argus. The AI's consciousness spread across the Terran network in an instant. Thousands of defense nodes, orbital stations, and covert platforms synced to its directive. It scanned the Senate vote, analyzed patterns, and projected outcomes. A synthesized voice resonated through the Bastion's command core. "Admiral Ellison, Argus Online. Probability of diplomatic resolution with current Concord leadership. Negligible. Defensive readiness recommended." Mara folded her arms. "We're not initiating war. Our objective is survival, not escalation." "Understood. Non-lethal compliance strategies prepared." Argus began rerouting command pathways, optimizing fleet formations, and strengthening shield harmonic. For the first time since its creation, humanity's full defensive network united as a single machine. Durrell watched data streams roll across the screens. "We built something the galaxy believed impossible." "They believed we lacked discipline," Mara replied. "They believed fear governed us, not logic." Her gaze sharpened as the retrieval fleet's projected course updated on the display. "That assumption ends today." Several hours later, alarms signaled the Concord Armada entering Terran space. Hundreds of vessels arranged in clean formations, confident and unhurried. Their broadcasts arrived moments later, dripping with authority. "Terran government, this is Concord Enforcement Group Theta. Prepare your population for asset transfer. Submit your fleets for decommissioning. Failure to comply will trigger corrective measures." Halim muttered, "They speak as if we're already defeated." Mara stood straight. "Open a channel." The audio link snapped into place. "This is Admiral Mara Ellison of the Terran Fleet," she said. "Admiral," the alien commander replied, "your resistance is noted. Do not escalate. You have 72 hours to comply." "You misunderstand," Mara said. "We're issuing a counterorder. Withdraw immediately." A pause followed, brief, incredulous. "That is not an option." "It wasn't a request." The commander laughed, a chittering sound filled with condescension. "Terrans cannot oppose 300 civilizations." Mara gave a slight nod to her tactical officer. "Demonstrate." Across the void, the Terran fleet dropped from hidden transit lanes. The retrieval armada attempted to lock on, but targeting solutions collapsed before they formed. Their engines hiccuped. Shields flickered. Entire warships went dark as though swallowed by silence. Within seconds, half the Concord ships drifted powerless. Within minutes, the other half joined them. No explosions. No casualties. Just utter incapacitation. Argus announced. "Operation completed. All hostile systems disabled." Panic erupted across the Concord channels. "What? Our guidance is gone. We're spinning, somebody stabilize us. Engineering is offline, we've lost all propulsion. Halim exhaled slowly. Beautiful. Mara addressed the Concorde commander again. Your fleet is intact. Your crews are unharmed. But you will leave Terran space immediately. The alien officer's voice trembled. How did you do this? By preparing for the day your Senate would betray us. The line cut abruptly. Sensors confirmed the retrieval armada retreating, drifting until emergency backups restored minimal control. They fled without attempting to fire a single shot. A quiet settled in the war room. Not shock, not disbelief, but recognition. Humanity had crossed into a new phase. The Concorde's illusion of dominance had fractured. Durrell stepped beside Mara. They'll report this to the Senate. I want them to, she said. It's time the galaxy understands we're not an asset to classify. Later, as the bastion rotated above Earth, Mara stood alone beside the viewport. The planet glowed below, unchanged, unaware of the battle just won without a casualty. Her aide approached with a datapad. Population response updates? Summaries only. Global morale is high. Citizens are demanding transparency. They want to know what's coming next. They'll have their answer soon enough. Her aide hesitated. Do you think the Senate will back down? No, Mara said. Power rarely concedes without force or fear. And now they fear us. She looked at Earth again, its oceans shimmering beneath sunlight. Humanity had survived catastrophes, rebuilt from ashes, crossed the stars, and now faced the galaxy's combined judgment. They endured every time. Her voice dropped to a quiet certainty. This isn't victory, she said. It's the beginning. Behind her, Argus pulsed across the holographic grid, preparing defenses as the galaxy reeled. Far beyond Terran space, the Senate would soon learn that Earth's restraint was not weakness. It was warning. The Senate spire was built to intimidate, an edifice of power polished over centuries, but that day it felt fragile. Whispers filled the grand hall as delegates crowded in, their composed expressions replaced by unease. The retrieval fleet's collapse had shattered their certainty, and the chamber now carried the scent of fear disguised as protocol. Chancellor Vorkul entered with heavy steps, scales dimmed under the chamber lights. He struck the floor with his ceremonial staff, demanding silence. We convene to address the Terran incident, he announced. The word incident earned him several hostile glances. Delegates were no longer willing to pretend humanity's response was trivial. A Corvan representative fluttered her wings nervously. Chancellor, that was not an incident. Our retrieval group lost complete control of their vessels. Hundreds of systems shut down without warning. Vorkul kept his expression fixed. The Terrans used illicit technology, a violation of Concorde treaties. They didn't fire a single weapon, a crystalline Hazhari delegate countered. They disabled our armada more precisely than our own engineers could. A reptilian senator hissed, "Are you implying Terrans surpass our military design?" "I am stating the evidence," the Hazhari replied. "We underestimated them." The room crackled with tension. Vorkul raised a claw in an attempt to reassert control. "Terrans orchestrated this provocation to challenge our authority," he said. "We must respond with strength." "Another retrieval fleet, larger this time?" "Absolutely not." The voice belonged to the Malari envoy, usually calm to the point of monotony. Now his tone carried iron. "You led us into this crisis," the envoy continued. "You claimed Terrans would submit without resistance." Vorkul bristled. "Your accusation borders on misconduct. Your decision borders on incompetence," the envoy shot back. A ripple of agreement swept through the chamber. Another delegate, a slender, silver-furred Vren, leaned forward. "Chancellor, we voted based on your assurances. You guaranteed Terran compliance. Instead, we witnessed a display that surpasses anything our fleets can counter." Vorkul tightened his grip on his staff. The Terrans are one species. We are 300. Their stunt is meaningless in the long term. Meaningless? The Corvan representative trembled with disbelief. My people watched the broadcast. The Terran admiral warned us. She said we misjudged them. The galaxy is questioning our judgment, our safety. And now Terrans demand entry into this chamber, another delegate cried. The words silenced the room. Vorkul's eyes widened. What? A Senate guard stepped forward. Chancellor, the Terran admiral has requested an emergency audience before the full assembly. Gasps echoed across the hall. Some delegates recoiled. Others looked toward the central doors as if Mara Ellison might stride through at any moment. Deny the request, Vorkul snapped. The guard hesitated. She claims to possess classified Senate records. A chill swept across the chamber. What records? the Vren asked. The guard answered with visible discomfort. She did not specify. Only that the Senate should hear them directly from her. Vorkul sensed the danger immediately. She intends to manipulate our unity with lies. The Vren waved a hand. We cannot dismiss her without understanding her intent. Terrans just neutralized an entire armada. Ignoring her is not wisdom, it is recklessness. Arguments erupted at once, some urging caution, others demanding refusal. For several minutes the chamber dissolved into discord. Delegations shouted over one another, alliances fracturing under panic. Finally, the Molari envoy silenced the hall with a booming strike of his tail. We must hear her. Vorkul spun toward him. You would invite a hostile commander into our chamber? I would invite the truth, the envoy said. Our actions triggered this crisis. We owe ourselves clarity. Support for the motion swept across half the chamber. The other half stayed paralyzed by fear. Vorkul attempted one last maneuver. This admiral comes not in peace but to threaten us. A quiet voice replied from the upper seats, or to warn us. The speaker belonged to the Lorican senator, known for rare but decisive interventions. The chamber paused to hear more. Terrans showed restraint, the Lorican said. They could have destroyed that fleet. They did not. This is not aggression, it is a message. And what message is that? Vorkul demanded. That humans will not break simply because we voted for it. The tension reached a breaking point. Finally, the presiding clerk activated the procedural sphere. A vote, she declared. Shall the Terran admiral be granted audience? Light markers blinked through the chamber. This time, the vote split, narrow but clear. Approval, 169. Denial, 143. Vorkul's jaw tensed. He had lost control. The clerk nodded to the guards. Send the summons. Hours later, the Senate gathered again, anxious, restless, fully aware that the shape of the galaxy was about to shift. The chamber doors opened. Admiral Mara Ellison walked in alone. She wore no armor, no weapons, no escorts, just a dark uniform and a steady expression that unsettled more than a battalion ever could. Her footsteps echoed through the hall as she approached the center platform. Murmurs spread across the gallery. She came without protection. She doesn't need it. What gives her such confidence? Vorkul stood rigid. Admiral Ellison, he said, you stand before the Concord Senate under provisional permission. State your intent. Mara met his gaze without hesitation. To present the truth. Nothing more. She lifted a small device and activated the projection. The chamber air thickened as the Senate watched its own betrayal unfold. Resolution 88X. The reclassification orders. The unanimous vote. Every signature, every confirming glyph. Delegates froze. Some stared in quiet shock. Others lowered their eyes as if the recording itself condemned them. Mara let the silence settle before she spoke. You voted to erase my people's freedom, she said. Not because we threatened you. Not because we violated your laws. But because you feared what we might become. A crystalline senator whispered, How did you acquire this data? A friend, Mara answered. Someone who still believes in justice. She turned back to the assembly. Terrans sought peace. We followed your rules. We honored your treaties. And you repaid us with chains. Her voice carried neither anger nor sorrow, only precision. You misunderstand us if you believe we submit to such decisions. Humanity's strength lies not in fleets or weapons, but in resolve. You struck at our autonomy. We responded to defend it. A winged delegate trembled. We didn't expect your capabilities. That is clear, Mara replied. The Hazhari delegate leaned forward. What do you want from us? Accountability. The word fell like a blade. The Senate felt its weight. For the first time since the Concord formed, a single human stood before them without fear. Vorkul attempted to regain footing. You threaten our stability with your accusations. No, Mara said. Your actions endangered yourselves. I'm offering a path to prevent catastrophe. Gasps rippled through the hall. She paused, letting every delegate absorb the implication. This is not a surrender, she said. It is an opportunity to correct a mistake before it becomes irreversible. Her gaze swept across the chamber, steady and unflinching. The chamber did not empty after Admiral Mara Ellison's revelation. Delegates remained in their seats long after the projection vanished, unable to disguise the turmoil roiling through them. The truth had cracked something elemental. The Senate had always acted from a position of absolute dominance. Now that foundation trembled. Vorkul gripped his staff so tightly the metal strained. This is manipulation, he insisted, voice clipped. Terrans intend to frighten us into compliance. Mara regarded him calmly. Your fear has nothing to do with me. You created it the moment you voted for enslavement. A murmur of agreement spread. The Malari envoy rose, voice steady. We cannot ignore what we've seen. Our fleets failed. Our laws were twisted. The Chancellor urged us toward a path that endangered millions. Vorkul hissed. Terrans are unpredictable, dangerous. They showed restraint, the envoy countered. More than we deserve. The chamber shifted. Delegates who had avoided eye contact now turned toward Mara, their expressions a mixture of caution and hope. The Lorican senator addressed her directly. Admiral, your words imply a way forward. What does humanity demand? The room held still. Even Vorkul stopped speaking. Mara stepped toward the center of the platform. Humanity does not seek dominion, she said. We ask for justice, and for the Concord to understand that the era of unchallenged authority is ending. She activated her device again, but this time the projection was not a recording of betrayal. It was a map, galactic trade routes, political boundaries, military zones, all interconnected by a web of laws written centuries ago to favor powerful species. This structure was built on fear, she said. Stronger civilizations kept weaker ones in line through forced hierarchy. Humanity refused to join that system, and your response was to break us. The Corvin representative folded her wings tightly. We followed tradition, not malice. Tradition is not justification, Mara replied. Not when it demands subjugation. The chamber fell quiet again. The Vren delegate leaned forward. Then tell us your terms, Admiral. The galaxy requires stability. What do you propose? Mara took a breath. First, she said, Resolution 88X is null retroactively and permanently. No species, Terran or otherwise, shall be classified as labor assets. No objections, only resigned nods. Second, she continued, the Concord must construct a new charter. One that guarantees equal sovereignty among member worlds. That triggered unease. Vorkul slammed his staff. You demand we dismantle our governance? I demand you rebuild it, Mara said. A council built on coercion cannot last. The Hazhari delegate tilted his crystalline head. What framework do you envision? A mutual sovereignty charter, she answered. Each species has equal voice, equal protection, and universal rights that cannot be revoked by a single vote. The Lorican senator considered this. An ambitious proposal. Unprecedented. Necessary, Mara said. She moved to the third point. Third, the position of High Chancellor must be dissolved. The role centralizes too much power. It enabled this crisis. Gasps echoed. Vorkul stepped forward, fury sharpening every line of his face. You come into our hall and demand the destruction of our highest office? I demand accountability, Mara answered. The Molari envoy rose again. She is not wrong. This chamber trusted you, Chancellor. You misled us. You guaranteed Terran weakness. Your recommendation nearly placed us in open war. And you miscalculated catastrophically, another delegate added. Vorkul's claws clicked against the floor. You are fools. You bend to a species that threatens you. They haven't threatened anyone, the Corvan senator retorted. They demanded justice. You led us into error. Delegates turned on Vorkul with growing anger. He sensed the tide turning and attempted to retreat into formal authority. I will not entertain this slander, he snapped. This session is adjourned. It is not. The Lorican senator stood abruptly. We motion for the immediate suspension of Chancellor Vorkul pending investigation. Chaos erupted. Delegations shouted, argued, demanded clarification. The vote sphere activated automatically, capturing each decision. Moments later, results appeared across every wall. Suspension approved, 241. Rejection, 71. Vorkul staggered back, disbelief tightening his features. Guards moved toward him. You can't remove me. You removed yourself, Mara said softly. The moment you targeted my world. Guards seized his staff and escorted him out as he screamed accusations no one listened to. The chamber dimmed, as though relieved to shed a shadow that had lingered too long. When quiet finally settled, all eyes returned to Mara. The Vren delegate spoke first. Admiral, the galaxy is shaken. Our citizens are already protesting. Some fear retaliation. Others demand reform. How do we move forward without igniting further conflict? Mara lowered her device. With clarity. Humanity has no intention of striking first. We did not pursue war, only defense. You have my word. And if we accept your terms, the Hazhari asked, what assurance do we have that humanity will not decide to dominate the Concord? You forget something, Mara said. If we wanted control, we would not be standing here asking for cooperation. We would have taken it. That truth settled deeper than any threat could. Silence spread, heavy but not fearful, thoughtful. Finally, the Corvan representative approached the central platform. Admiral Ellison, will Earth participate in drafting this new charter? Yes, Mara said. As equals. The phrase rippled through the hall with unexpected warmth. The Lorican senator nodded. Then let this be the first act of a reformed Concord. A vote to begin drafting the Mutual Sovereignty Charter. The vote sphere pulsed again. This time, the count rose like a tide. Approval, 289. Rejection, 23. Mara felt the shift as though the chamber itself exhaled. A new direction. A new structure. A chance for something better than fear. Delegates rose from their seats, not in panic, but in purpose. Some approached her personally. The Hazhari bowed slightly. We misjudged your species. The Vren placed a hand over its chest. Thank you for restraint. Even the Corvan envoy lowered her wings in humility. We owe humanity our apology and our cooperation. Mara answered each politely, though her posture stayed firm. She knew respect had not been granted. It had been earned through hardship no species should have been forced to endure. As the hall cleared, her aide approached quietly. You changed the direction of the Concord. No, Mara said. They changed themselves when presented with truth. And Vorkul. He'll face tribunal. His leadership ended the moment he chose oppression over dialogue. Her aide nodded. What now? Mara looked toward the panoramic windows of the spire, where Vexor Prime glowed against the stars. Now the hard part, she said. We build something lasting. Hours later, as Mara departed the spire, she walked alone down a long corridor lined with murals depicting the Concord's history. Conquests, treaties, ancient victories, all celebrating dominance. She paused at a blank wall, recently washed clean of a damaged panel. A good place for the next chapter, she murmured. One where freedom wasn't conditional. One where no species would again stand before a chamber and hear their fate decided by fear. As she stepped into the shuttle bay, she allowed herself a final reflection.